Hey there guys, this is Obsidian Chill. Got another video for today. This is a continuation of our test server content, a part of Save the Universe. Now we're looking at the Volcano mining facility for player alert. This was originally released during Birds of Prey, which a lot of people remember for positive and negative reasons. The positive being it wasn't actually a bad DLC. I love Clock Tower. The raid itself was really nice. The open world was nice. The even Fire and Brimstone has its moments, especially if you were a nature gorilla and final boss. Then you love that. But the negative reasons were, since it was the first DLC, the pandemic, the servers really couldn't handle it, especially on the U.S. server, because that's, I guess, when everyone was, either off work or working from home or school was done. It was just the U.S. servers were overloaded. I couldn't even record. I still don't think there's a Fire and Brimstone video on this channel, just because every time I went to record it, it was just like massive lag. That's why I played on EU almost primarily. That's kind of sad. I'm from Canada. I'm connecting to a server that's based in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, and I lag less there than the U.S. server. But either way, so the Volcano mining facility, some people remember more how much of a pain in the ass this alert was. But it really, now that it's been upscaled to Elite, not too much has changed. The same difficulty as there was in the first original version of this is the exact same now. So the difficult moments coming up to Amazo, it's still going to be there. The heal check basically on last boss with that dot from the environmental damage. That's still there. That's still present. So that's been upscaled. So really, this alert falls more into like a heal check. Obviously, if you're killing things faster as DPS, then there's less things to heal because things are dying faster, and there's less mechanics to worry about. So good DPS always helps. Tanking wise, there's really not too much to tank. Amazo kind of does his own thing when he combines his powers, which I'll show you once we get to that fight. That one has some specific positioning that'll make those things a bit handy. And he does have one technical one-shot. But other than that, it's really just straightforward. This alert was originally released by Sharon, so that's kind of a nice kind of nod to him now that he's gone. But Amazo was his creation. So that's, I guess, one of the downsides was if there was something majorly wrong with the alert, then someone else has to fix his work. But really, there's a couple bugs that I have reported for this on the Amazo fight. Other than that, it's been really straightforward. There's nothing out of the ordinary with this alert. So if you're new to the alert, first boss is basically just these robots. If you don't turn off the terminals, then you're going to have two this time. And then if you turn off the terminals, then you're going to have one. And then you're just fighting him. Really, there's nothing to tank or really to die to in this. You're basically just going to sit there. Then you're going through the tunnels. There's two instances, which I do show in this video, that you can skip a bunch of ads, so to save some time. Because really, I think this video is about 20 minutes. The alert took us, like 22 minutes. That's about standard what you've been getting. If you're in a really good group with two really good DPS, then you could cut that time down between 15 and 20 minutes. But it's still a longer alert. Where the healer's fully geared, the DPS and the tank are fully geared. They just don't have any of the OP items. That's why they're 375 and not 377 or 378. So really, we're testing this at full gear, not minimum. So really, if you aren't fully geared or have the artifacts, allies, everything else, then that 20 minutes is going to turn into more like 30, 35 minutes, up to 40 minutes. So definitely Volcano mining facility is a longer alert. I do have Smallville Elite record as well. Smallville Elite, while it's really straightforward, because Smallville, it's hard to make an Elite version of Smallville because we're talking about an alert that came out in part of the original game. So it's difficult to upscale that. It's basically just they kind of had to pick Superman content, because that's the thing with all these releases. Normally with Save the Universe, we had Batman themed ones, Wonder Woman themed ones, and Superman themed ones, and they kind of rotated throughout Save the Universe Season 1. Now Save the Universe Season 2 is more a celebration of Superman, so that's why it's focused on only Superman content. So it's at that point you're kind of limited unless you're just kind of redoing stuff they already did. They did FOSS 2 before. Technically they could do FOSS 1. That wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea. FOSS 3 being upscaled would be kind of interesting as well, just because then you'd have snipers and the medics being upscaled to current CR. There's different things they could have done. Not alert wise, but still sticking out because I'll cover that in the Smallville video, which I will have. The Smallville Elite video will be up tomorrow, so you'll be able to see what that looks like. That's more like a first look because you can kind of assume Volcano mining facility was already pretty difficult. It wasn't like a raid people enjoyed to farm, especially with that last boss. If your healer is not up to snuff, that last boss is going to be really, really painful because there's nothing you can do. That dot damage is going to go through your shields. You're not going to be able to survive. I mean, it's going to tick 3 or 4 times out of a supply drop. I mean, you're going to have a healing. And the problem is so many healers are like electric now because of how powerful electric prec is, that electric is not the best for damage over time like that. I mean, you can certainly do it, but it's not designed for that. You'd be a much better time having like a nature healer or celestial, something that's going to have, because I mean, even water just has shields, but at the same time, with nature and celestial, you have those great healing over times, which is exactly what you want for this. Whereas electric, you're pretty much just relying on purple healing ray and like spamming galvanize. So that's the one downside I do see about this release, is that you're going to have so many electric healers. Just because electric was better in like Elite Plus or for the DPS side of things. So for Amazo, what I found, what we found in terms of strategy wise, is you just have to spread out because it's an alert. If you have 2 people die, it's very difficult to recover from that. So the first one shot's going to happen here when he absorbs his powers. He does the Wonder Woman lasso, and the heat vision is going to go around. You have to block that. If you don't block it, you're dead. I mean, even me blocking it in like full gear, full lead, everything took me down to 75% health. So that one, if you're not blocking, it's going to kill you. If you're like lower geared and just kind of trying out elite, that's going to kill you as well. So you're going to have to make sure you get that page proc or have like the healer hopefully not get hit first so they can survive. I mean, technically at the same time, yeah, if you're super close to Amazo, you could run around and avoid that like you do like regular heat visions. But I mean, that's not always going to be practical because you're going to see there's going to be bat bombs on the floor during the phases. There's going to be the ice storms. There's going to be the Green Lantern. It's better to stay away from Amazo. I mean, we've got this large map. We've got the 4 corners. Same thing. We don't do the turrets. It's not needed. If you have a healer that can deal with the turrets, then you're fine. It's only like 20k hits, so it's not really that big of a deal. Especially because we had the tank having the Superman ally. So I know this isn't like 100% practical in terms of what the groups are going to be experiencing on live. But just to warn you, you certainly can turn off the turrets. You just have to teleport in. It's going to take longer. This was more just kind of like nerfing it as fast as we could. That's why we chose not to do that. But you can see the damage I'm taking from the turrets. The ice storms are more just annoying than anything else. His Green Lantern charge, I forget if he goes into that form in this clip. But the Green Lantern charge when he does his like the Green Lantern trains. That's going to kill you. You're going to have to move out of the way. You can't just eat that damage and block. I mean, the tank probably could, but you're not as a player. That's why it's better to spread out, so you're not going to wipe multiple players. Same thing, now the bat bombs are up. You can set off the bat bombs preemptively if you want to run over and just run out of the way. I mean, just like I did there. It's not really a huge deal. You just have to run back and just be out of range. So the one DPS that kind of stands in this corner is going to have to stand more in the middle, so he may have to set off more bombs. But I mean, at the same time, you just avoid it. You got plenty of time for that. I also did note at the beginning of the fight. At the beginning of the fight, you don't want to go crazy. See here, now he does his trains. Now he's going to do the whips and probably come after me, or he possibly bugged out. Can't remember this. Yeah, there it is. So he chucks the trains. Sometimes he spins at you. He has these little delays when he goes to his phases sometimes, which is what I reported. It's like sometimes he can sit for like 30 seconds and do nothing. That's one of the issues. But other than that, he'll follow a player with spinning while he has those green trains out, and it can lead to a one-shot. But yeah, there's that. The one other tip as a DPS tip at the beginning is that if you go too hard in damage, like drop orbital, supply drops, everything, supercharges, he's going to put his Green Lantern shield, hard light shield anyway. So that's why at the beginning I'm not doing Ice Elemental. You could drop an orbital, but at the same time, if all 4 people drop an orbital, you're just going to push him into that shield phase where he's going to be invulnerable to damage. So that's why I hold off at least the major burn until that phase is over with. And then once he's done that, then you're fine. But that was the Amazo fight. That's certainly going to trip up a lot of pugs. But I mean, at the same time, you saw that if you have proper positioning, if you have a healer that knows what he's doing, you're going to be still fine. It's not going to be painful. But at the same time, if people aren't following the mechanics, I mean, you have slow DPS, multiple people dying. Yeah, the Amazo fight has the potential to be a headache for a lot of people. It's just more so understanding the fight and understanding what you have to do. So this part, you go up the elevator. I think I skipped that. So this is the one part I believe you can skip after this. This is the first part I was talking about. Technically, there's some ads in the hallway you can fight, but if you can run up straight until the little energy matrix grid comes up, which is I think what we do here. Yeah, it runs through, run past, and then it starts the grid. So, I mean, not like you're saving a ton of time. It basically skips like a few sets of ads there, but that's, I mean, there's no point of fighting if you don't have to. And in this part, all you're doing is basically dodging the grid like it was before, getting up there, and then all the damage you do are ones, so then you really want an attack that does multiple damage. Like if you're just dealing like burst damage, like I say, if I drop like Glacier Flash or like Ice Boulder Strike, I mean, that's just one hit. You need multiple ones like Dervish or Avalanche or other like dot abilities would be great. Because other than that, you're just going to get hard stun and push back. So, I mean, it's more annoying than anything, but the purple damage can eventually will kill you, depending on how many times you get hit by it. But it's more, it's easily covered for burst healing. But you could certainly die in this phase. And one person has to get by it, and then enough for the terminal to open. So technically your group could wipe in this if you die and don't come back. So these set of ads here leading up to the next room, you do have to fight, because that'll be leading up to our next skip. And same thing, this skip I always recommend, because at the same time you're just fighting unnecessary ads, especially in a longer alert like this. You're not trying to like purposely find situations where you're going to spend more time, spend another 5 minutes on it, especially with how easily you could wipe on last boss. So as soon as this grid comes down, this is the one where like the spider comes out and there's a feat for like it not sitting off the spider. If you run all the way by like I'm doing now and just open the terminal here, you have to watch because you can still take damage. Like ads can hit you while doing this, and then basically you run through and start the cutscene. So that it's going to pull forward your group as you can. I mean, sorry, I kind of fast forwarded through this cutscene there, but it's going to pull forward your group, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll be in the cutscene, they won't be, but they'll still be safe. But I mean, that probably saves 3-4 minutes worth of DPSing ads that you don't have to. So for the Lex Luthor fight, I mean, it's really a straightforward fight. I mean, you're going to DPS him. He's going to summon his war suits. You have to DPS the war suits. They go back to him. When the turrets spawn, watch your positioning. I don't know if I get hit in this video. You can see my comment log if I do. But if you're standing in line of sight of the turrets, the Superman, you're going to get hit by like 100k ticks from the turret, which is completely unnecessary because there's already enough damage in this fight for the healer to cover. So don't stand in front of the green beam for the turrets. But you do want to destroy the turrets. That's the one thing that kind of pugs miss. I find that a lot because they kind of get tunnel vision on Lex, and then you're the only one destroying the turrets. So, I mean, it's really simple. That's why myself, if you're questioning why I'm not using a supercharge, I tried to save El Elemental for those phases, which ironically I just popped while I'm talking about this, not in the phase, but I mean, I still have a second one. But we're not getting in greens because the healers, I'm doing pure heals, so that's why I can't farm Ice Elemental form. But normally I'd be dropping like Blizzard and stuff in it, but I gotta save the form because I don't have any supercharge regen. But yeah, the turrets come up. That's when I save Ice Elemental for, because I mean, or your supercharge, because it just makes quicker work of those terminals, and then you can get back to DPSing. And the same thing, I think it's like 3 or 4 war suits you go through. Then you see the DPS cores that come up when you defeat the ads from the war suits. Then you basically just run over to, I think it's like Hawk Girl, and put them in. That's the faster way to doing it. There's multiple feats in here as well. If you don't have them for like killing Lex without doing the cores, it just takes a long time. I think there's feats related to like the environmental damage, like throwing the bombs against the windows to explode them, or I think it's not to explode them, so you gotta carry the bombs away from the windows. Either way, there are like 3 or 4 feats in this final fight if you don't already have them from the Birds of Prey DLC. But I mean, that's essentially it for the alert. Eventually, once the environmental damage kicks in, you'll see in the combat log, it's like 50, 60k ticks, but it's like continual. So really, it makes reviving quite difficult because, I mean, if your healer can't either maintain the power, because, I mean, you can run a controller, but it's just going to make this fight even longer. A controller is not necessary, but if you're in a situation where the healer is spamming and needs it, then you're going to run into some problems. Be helpful if I could speak properly. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the one thing to watch out for is a tank. Is just the war suit spawning. It can lunge out at you, but I mean, I don't think it's enough damage to kill you. This damage here, this cosmic ore. That's not enough damage to kill you. Really, the only thing that's going to kill you is if you're standing in front of the turrets when they spawn and get hit by the beam, or run in line of sight through them, and just the dot damage. Because, I mean, you'll note the difference is night and day in this fight with a good healer. Because if you have a bad healer, then you're going to constantly feel this dot. You're constantly going to be, you know, around like 35%, 20% health, trying to take soda, supply drops. But it doesn't matter, because since the dot's ticking the whole time and it eventually gets stronger, I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a soda, supply drop, sidekick, shield, whatever. I mean, you're going to die. But yeah, for me, it's in terms of feedback wise, my goal is not to try to make the solos and alerts and stuff harder, because I realize how much we have to farm them. And even the raids, like, it's not so much. Darkside War Factor Elite is pretty easy up until Darkside. I mean, the final boss is hard because just people don't know the mechanics, which, I mean, is still probably going to be true when it comes out. But it's out of respect for Darkside War Factor that I want it to be harder. Right now, Throwing the Dead is harder than Darkside War Factor is on test, which shouldn't be. It's just because some of the mechanics are tuned down. Because, I mean, Throwing the Dead was Darkside War Factory was still not being upscaled for a long time. So there's still some tuning to do. But yeah, I'm not trying to like make alerts or solos harder. I mean, it is what it is. There's no new mechanics added. It's just Elite version. It's just things hit harder. That's it. And considering we have to do like what 250 alerts, I'll definitely be farming the reg versions of these. But that's right there. The thermal energy is being released. And I believe you can see it in the combat log. It's like 40k ticks, but it's like pretty quick. It's like every half second ticks. So if you don't have a good healer, it's going to completely weigh on the group. Especially it's just going to chip away at you. And then the problem is you have like two people go down at once, and the tank can't get the res because he's taking damage from the dot and everything else. And then it's an easy wipe. One, if the healer goes down, and you can't get them up fast enough, I mean, that's an easy wipe. And then the other easy wipe is just from not having, you know, a healer that knows what they're doing and knows how to cover damage. Because it's going to be constant damage like that for the rest of the fight once that thermal energy is released or is increased. Because I think now it's up to 100k ticks. I think without a shield it's 100k ticks. I think that's what it looks like in my combat log. And environmental energy spill damaged for like 107k. But yeah, once the cores come up, run the cores into Hawk Girl, or Hunter, sorry. The other problem too that happens in Pugs is that they will pick up a core and forget they have it picked up because it doesn't impact their loadout. You're just going to see the icon above their head. Which, funny enough, I'm sure it's going to be some accessory in the future. Like the War Power Core accessory. And just have that icon floating above your head. So that's all it is. I mean, technically you arc damage towards each other too, but at the same time, it's not enough to kill you. But really, that's it. I mean, now I still have to complete Darkside War Factory. The final boss is just the same thing. It's just difficult with Pugs because they don't want to coordinate or we're on the mic or anything like that. So I still have to bring you the Darkside War Factory footage. I do have the Smallville Elite footage that'll be up tomorrow morning. And then hopefully just bring the Darkside War Factory Elite when I can get it to you. But other than that, this will be Save the Universe. And it's like I said, it's more just a distraction until survival mode, and survival mode will be a distraction until the new episode comes. But it's still a nice alert in the end. So, any questions, concern, put them in the comment section below, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.